Precious One, speak to us of a calm mind and how to achieve it.
Mind that is sunk into the region of the heart is calm. Mind which is touched by the Spirit in stillness is calm and numb. Mind that dwells on the self is calm. Mind that lets go of all attachment and desire is calm. Mind that is saturated with the truth is calm. At times, even non-existent. Mind that wakes up to the truth is calm. Most of us in this world are under anesthesia. We see many where there is only one. As we wake up to the truth, the false melts away like a fog touched by the sun. What we are left with is the clear vision of the one. In this, the mind becomes saturated with calmness and peace. How to achieve it? It is by the means of inquiry into what is permanent and what is transient. By stillness and by listening to the inner voice, which later on proves to be the I that you are. Paths are varied, but all takes you to the realization of the truth, wisdom.
The questioner is asking, first explain to me what calm mind is, and then tell me how to achieve it. Who doesn't want that? Let's dissect sentence by sentence. Mind that is sunken to the region of the heart is calm. In other words, unactive mind is calm. Because when the energy of the mind descends to the heart, the mind becomes either non-existent or very passive. Going home to our heart is a calm mind automatically. Mind which is touched by the Spirit in the stillness, in other words, by association. When the thinker is touched by that vast silence, it is a calm mind, because the thinker and the mind are one and the same. So when the attention of I am goes into the silence, the mind vanishes. The mind that dwells on the self is calm. What does that mean? The mind that spends its time doing inquiry, getting into the depth of itself and wisdom is calm. That is dwelling on the self and also holding on to the self. In other words, staying with the original purity. Mind that lets go of all attachment and desire is calm. If we only for a moment let go of any resistant attachment or desire, not only the mind becomes calm, our own existence is gone. So when there is an attachment, when there is a desire, the movement in the mind becomes like a hurricane. The thinker is tossed between one wave and the other and going under the water and gasping for air and coming out. That's what the strong desire, attachment to the world causes the mind to not be rested. Mind that is saturated with the truth is calm. In other words, non-duality, the purity of understanding rather than duality of good and bad. At that time, sometimes we feel like our mind doesn't even exist. Mind that wakes up to the truth is calm. In other words, a mind that in a split second realizes a wisdom becomes calm. The dawn of wisdom shines on the consciousness of a person that is interested. The dream has less reality, and also you begin to see one where you saw many. In other words, you see more of the unity of one consciousness rather than millions of people, places, things. All of us that are born in this world, little by little, we go under a very thick anesthesia. We see many where there is only one. But when we wake up to the truth of who we are, all this dream vanishes. In other words, We know the reality. We are the reality. And even in the dream, we know the quality of it. And then, of course, in that state, the mind is saturated with calmness and peace. These are the description of how to have a peace of mind, and how to achieve it. It says by inquiry. How do we do inquiry? As we are picking up different truth that is given to us, we begin to see that this candle eventually will go off. This table eventually gets old and falls apart. This body eventually gets old and dies. Then we say, what is it that is permanent, that was and is and will be? When we question it deeply, we come to realization that there is something that is aware of coming and going, aware of aging, aware of the whole consciousness around. And by digging and digging, we come to realize that the body is in the dream, but I am not. The thinking is in the dream, but I am not. And that takes us to stillness. In the stillness, we begin to be guided. The guidance comes not out of memory or impressions of the mind. It comes out of a purity. Later on, we realize that that truth was no other than our own reality. The sum total of the whole question and answer is to realize that we just hear the truth. Now, what we do with it is up to us. But we were granted this truth that says, when your mind is sunk into the region of the heart is calm.